Good evening. This is the Dudley Conservation meeting for June 2nd at 6:37. First on the agenda is the Dudley Water Sewer Department,
Tenants.
Mill, Village, and Pine Streets request for a determination of applicability to replace water mains. And Matt's recommendation is, seeing you right there, could you tell us what?
A negative determination.
Negative determination. Is there anybody here for water and sewers?
I make a motion that we grant a negative determination to the Dudley Water Sewer Department, Mill, Village, and Pine Streets to replace water mains.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Second is MassDOT request for a determination of applicability to remove an old bridge and construct at-grade crossing. Where is the
Where is it?
bridge?
Carpenter Road.
Railroad
Okay.
bridge, isn't it?
Oh, that nice bridge that's been there for 100 years?
Is this the one?
Good evening, my name is Karen Beck. I'm a registered landscape architect and wetlands biologist with Commonwealth Engineers and Consultants, Inc. of Providence, Rhode Island. I'm here with Bill Clardy from the MassDOT.
MassDOT, MassDOT District 3.
And basically what is being proposed is a partial removal of the Carpenter Road Bridge, which, as you said, initially was constructed in the 1850s and then modified at one point. However, there is a proposal for the Quinnebog Valley Rail Trail, which is going to be a combined pedestrian and bike path. And so what is being proposed is the removal of the existing bridge in order to create what's called an at-grade crossing. And basically what is going to happen is there's going to be a compromise between the profile on Carpenter Road and the profile on the bike path itself. So there's going to be partial removal of the bridge, not the full removal, but partial removal of the bridge. And where we are in relationship to wetland jurisdictional areas, here's Carpenter Road. North is at this end of things here, and here's the former railroad right-of-way here. And I was the person who went out and flagged the wetland resources that were out there. There's only one flag. There's a cross culvert that goes underneath the rail bed itself right here, so there's one flag there. And then there is, based upon the mapping that's shown on MassGIS, there is a wetland area associated with, I believe, Packard Pond that comes into this adjacent property. But again, it's off of the land area that I was responsible for flagging. This is somebody else's property, so I couldn't go onto the property to flag it. And there was work that was being done out there, so it's a cleared area, and there was grading that had also been done out there. So I took a look to see if there potentially was any permits that had been pulled from MassDEP, and I didn't see any. So basically, we kind of hedged our bets and put the mapping as shown on MassGIS on the plan, and put the 100-foot buffer zone on the plan so that you could see what that impact would be. If it was strictly from this little wetland area here, basically we would really only just barely nick the 100-foot buffer zone, but there's a little bit more involved. If you include this area as BVW, we get up to about 3,300, 3,400 square feet of disturbance. Now what's going to happen is, this is the existing roadway profile in the purple here. So as you can see, the roadway probably at some point in time was relatively straight, but then got bumped up to accommodate the railroad itself when this was built. And so there is a distinct hump for the bridge area. And what's being proposed is to eliminate that hump, quite frankly, and get a 2% slope on the existing roadway. on the rail bed itself, here's the existing profile, very straight, and there's going to be fill that's placed in order to bring up the grade in the vicinity of the bridge in order to get a maximum of 4.5% up and down, which is the percentage that is below what is required for the ADA, or Americans with Disability Act. Since it's going to be pedestrian and bicycle, we have to accommodate those regulations as well. So basically, this proposal is eliminating a bridge that's no longer necessary. It's putting a better profile on the roadway. It's putting a required slope and percentage on the bike path. And the bridge itself basically had some structural deficiencies as well. The guardrail, for example, is structurally deficient. There's no existing utilities on the bridge or anything. But this basically makes everything much safer, and basically at-grade crossings for bike paths are actually a better scenario as well. It's a safer scenario. So that's basically what we're proposing. The bridge removal, because of the limited right-of-way, et cetera, does require that the road be closed in order to do the construction. It's going to take approximately 1 year in order to remove the area and build the railway profile back up again. So there is a detour that's proposed. It's about 3 to 5 minutes out of, the typical route that people would go as far as Carpenter Road is concerned. It is not going to impact the existing driveway.
Sorry, indigestion.
Those are going to be maintained, but obviously the abutters are going to have to deal with the construction and the fact that it is going to be 2 dead ends for approximately 1 year's worth of time. Other than that, if you have any questions, I would definitely be happy to answer them.
Any board members, any questions?
How does the rest of the town feel about it? Highway department, no problem.
We're only conservation that's over here.
Okay.
So we did send letters to a number of the town departments as part of the MassDOT process.
Selectmen, highway superintendent, so they're the ones in control.
I haven't heard anything from them. If they had an objection, they would have let Carol.
The fire department knows about it, police department.
The question I have, are you going to facilitate the detour? Yeah, put up the signs, detour, so people know where to go
Oh,
around?
yes, yes, absolutely. There is a,
Just don't want any mishaps in that area, because
No.
even though you're working on the buffer zone, we start having accidents, it could be a little messy.
well, again, the buffer zone in this particular area here is considerably removed of this, but there is a traffic protection plan that is part of the set that was submitted to the Conservation Commission and to the various town agencies, and we hadn't had any comments, and MassDOT has very strict regulations as to how they want detours to work, et cetera, and follow all of
I've
those.
done a lot of work with Bill over the years in this region, and have worked on a ton of DOT projects across the state. Usually very high quality, very well done, very aware of safety and environmental issues. And this project is actually no different. They've done a very good job with the design. And understand that I can't go on someone else's property. Totally understand that. I've accidentally done that and gotten thrown off many properties myself.
Chased by dogs, people with shotguns, all sorts of positive, great things.
Well, my
Chased by
favorite
bees.
is the little old guy with a bat, and he sounds like he smoked 20 packs of cigarettes going, "Get off my property now." It's
They
kind of
do it
scary.
all.
But, I mean, it's a very, very high-quality project. It's very well planned out. I thought everything was very complete. I don't have any issues with this project. As long as you have erosion protection or erosion protection awareness in place.
Compost filter salts.
Yep. My favorite. It'll be fine. I recommend the negative determination.
Okay, are there any abutters?
Bill will probably vouch for, I do tend to, although it's usually not when the people are. I just don't like getting.
I make,
They have a big plan. Mind the crew that I do randomly appear, but not while they're
Do
there.
you want some, early notification?
48 hours like we usually do.
I make a motion that we grant a negative determination for Old Bridge and constructed at-grade crossing on Carpenter Road.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
What do you mean? No.
Thank you very much.
What did you say? No.
But I do have one question for you.
Sir.
Take a ride over there. If there's clearing going on in the wetland area,
Yeah, when that was mentioned, it kind of piqued my interest a little bit because I've been down there 1,000 times, but I hadn't seen anything. So now that it's demarcated as to where it is.
Thank you.
thank you.
Some of it could be rail trail activity.
If I remember correctly, there was a beaver dam over there. That was about 3 feet high.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And we have had some projects that we do have permits on in that area, so.
Okay, next is John Nelson, 400 West Main Street, possible notice of possible wetlands violation.
Well, Mr. Chairman, there is a definite wetland violation. There's actually 3 counts that I see. Filling and grading within the riverfront, clearing of vegetation within the riverfront, and on both counts, filling, grading, and clearing within the 100-foot buffer zone as well. It's minor. It's not something that's out of control. It's somebody that's doing some, yard work that needs a permit very slowly. So, I mean, if he wants to wait for the next meeting, I suppose that would be fine. But now that we've gotten his attention, if he's left your contact number, I wouldn't mind talking to him.
Okay. I do have a number.
Is that person here today?
No,
He
he can't
said
make
he can't make the meeting.
Okay. Next is Oakwood Estates Conservation Restriction Land Donation. And we have a copy of a deed for Oakwood Estates.
Is there anyone here representing Oakview Estates?
No.
No? Okay.
there's nothing else.
Too bad
Each
we
of
don't
you
have a
have a
picture.
copy of that deed in your packet.
Yeah, but we don't have a amount of land or anything else, huh?
Has this been approved by the selectmen?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
If I'm correct, I believe that we say that we will administer the conservation restriction, and then it gets sent to the Board of Selectmen for official approval, and then it goes to the town meeting to be accepted.
So what do we have to do?
We just have to make a motion that we will assume the administrative duties over the conservation restricted land.
The only suggested change I have in this wording is that in the sentence where it says, said parcel of land is being donated to the town of Dudley for passive recreational use only, as indicated on said plan, I would ask them to add the words conservation and passive recreational uses.
Okay.
Because the way I read this deed, even though it's intended to be tied up as conservation land under Article 97 with a restriction, because they don't have that one word in there, someone could open it up to a debate.
Okay.
Okay, so,
How much land is it? How much land is it?
I have no idea.
Do you have any idea how
I didn't
much
get
land it
a
is,
copy of the
Carol?
map, so I,
It's not a lot. If it doesn't,
It doesn't say here.
no. I should probably have them
You
in.
probably should spell that out,
Yep.
too.
I'll add that.
or a copy of the map.
Well, the map would have to be recorded with the deed.
Right.
So what do we do with this? Do we just wait for a map, wait for the, do we make a motion?
My recommendation is to wait to come back with the change in wording that we're requesting and for the map before we do anything else.
And a copy of Lot C, Parcel C,
Copy of Lot C.
Parcel C. Okay, next is discussion on the proposed Islamic Cemetery.
Mr. Chairman, just a reminder, I know there are a lot of people here, and I'm assuming that they're here for this since there's no other item on the agenda. This is not a public hearing.
I believe that they're here for the next meeting mostly.
Okay, but this is not a public hearing. This is a discussion between me and the commission, so there's no interaction with the public. So if you're anticipating interacting with the commission on this matter right now, there's no hearing before the commission. This is based on my requests because of issues I've raised in letters that I've written that I want to discuss with the commission, just to make the ground rules clear on that one. Okay? Okay. The reason why I've asked for this discussion with the commission is because I have put recommendations in writing months ago. I did also write a letter to the Zoning Board of Appeals months ago. I spoke to someone from the Board of Health a couple of months ago. When I was given the original plans to review, basically it was a conceptual, what do you think of this? What I noted was that there were wetlands basically going all around the proposed facility, cemetery. The scale on the plan was a 500 scale. Went out to the site, didn't really see anything that I saw that would constitute a thorough delineation in my mind. Problem I have is that the scale that I was given was a 500 scale plan, and comparing it with what I saw on aerial maps, it looks like the aerial of the wetlands was just overlaid onto the plan. In my recommendations, my written recommendations, I have requested that the commission forward to the property owner or the proposed property owner, whoever the project proponent is, I don't know the parties, that they file a notice of resource area delineation, because the plans that I were given, and I have not been given any information since, is unacceptable. Even if they had a wetland delineation subsequent to my being out there, and they have plans, they haven't given them to us. If they're out of the buffer zone, they still have to file at a minimum a request for a determination so that we can take a look at it. But what I really want is a notice of resource area delineation. You file the paperwork, you file for the public hearing, you have the wetlands demarcated, you have the wetland scientists file the report. It gets me permission to go out and look at the property, see if I agree with whatever resources are delineated on that plan. They pay the fees like everybody else does, and we get this out of the way. But until then, I'm not comfortable with what I've seen so far because it's been very limited to me. So what I'm requesting is that the commission vote to write a letter to whoever, is it the Zoning Board of Appeals in this case?
Not sure who
Who would be the final approving authority for that proposal? Would it be the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals?
Actually, the final vote, it's Board of Health.
Board of Health. Okay, so the Board of Health. If we could write a letter to the Board of Health specifically requesting as a commission that the project proponent file paperwork with this commission, a notice of resource area delineation, a request for determination. A request for determination attempting to certify the boundary, in my view, is unacceptable because of the amount of wetlands on here. They'd have to go the notice of resource delineation. None of that's been quantified, and I'm very concerned. And I've made this concern known for months. And it just seems like I made the concerns, but I get no response. And I'm just requesting the commission's aid here so we can get some kind of response.
Okay, because the Islamic Cemetery has not filed for anything to this.
Not with us, no.
No, but the plans, even as conceptual as they were, showed a substantial amount of wetlands on the property. And if they're not going to be in the buffer zone, or they're not doing anything within those wetlands, and we can certify that boundary, great. That's the limit of our jurisdiction. What they're doing with the property is a landowner's business, and it's for other boards to decide. My charge with this town is to make sure that these resource areas throughout the community are protected. I deal with everybody. I see people out sitting here looking at me right now that I've dealt with, you know, when they had to do so much as a swimming pool, or a garage addition, or solar fields in their backyard. You know, we have to do this with this too. And that's really all this is about. I'm just concerned because I've made this known and I've received no response for a number of months now. And that's kind of bugging me a little bit. That's it.
Any questions?
So deep hole tests that were dug, and they filled with water, showed the groundwater. That's not our jurisdiction, am I correct?
No, deep hole testing is allowed by right, as long as they're not touching the wetland itself. They're allowed under the Wetland Protection Act and our local bylaw to do preliminary testing to assess a site, as long as they're not altering a wetland. I haven't seen anything in my mind that constitutes a wetland alteration, but I need more specific information from the property owner. Or if they don't own the property, whoever controls the property right now.
Okay.
So who do we get that from?
Need a motion?
Who do we notify? The Board of Health?
Board of Health.
Board of Health.
They're the ones who have the final say.
We need a motion to write that letter?
Yep.
We need a motion?
Yep, please.
I can make a motion that we write a letter stating that we need a notice of resource area delineation be sent to the Board of Health.
A request.
A request.
That the applicant for this project file the proper paperwork, including a notice of resource area delineation, so we can properly assess the wetlands on the property.
Second.
You got that, Carol?
Okay.
Oh, yep.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries. Next is minutes on May 12th.
So what's in here? I really can't.
Someone give a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for May 12th
As presented.
as printed.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Make a motion, we adjourn at 7.
Well, before you adjourn, on a more pleasant note,
Oh, sorry.
as you guys know, I'm going to be a grandfather in October.
Again?
Yep. This one's a boy.
Congratulations.
And yes, I have promised my daughter that I'm going to teach the child some very colorful language before I send him home.
Did you get the other one?
That's it.
So,
Well, that's why you came today? Special.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion,
I
we
came to see
adjourn
you.
at 7:03.
Motion's been made to adjourn
Second.
Yeah.
and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.